really give them, once they got ahead, they didn't really give them a chance to go in. That Jack Hughes try was as whoever it was said, it was just like ballet, this sort of dancing little move. It was almost a little bit cheeky, just sort of pulled round and then spotted the gap, and thank you very much, I'll go through there.
I think he did a good job being shifted into the centres halfway through that first half when Bryson Goodwin went off that getting bent over tackle. That did it looked nasty. I'm not sure that there was nasty intent, just tough physicality involved in it. But yeah, it looked nasty. But was the to me it was hard to pick out a single real star player for Warrington. I just thought they were like pretty much 7.5, 8 out of 10 to a man, whereas Cass had a couple of 7 performers, so fell a little bit below. What about you, though? Did you pick out any other star players? You mentioned Mamo. Anyone else?
Apart from Patton, who I thought had a very good game. I think he's sort of grown into his role well this season. I think he did it. Another game he did well, and as always, Super Benny Westwood rolling back the years.
Fair enough.
He just gave that. I think it was almost a more subtle performance for him than Murdoch Masilla. Well, hard to be, more unsafe, but I think just coming on and just did that job well. Just did his job, and then, played well for the team. And I think he did give them that lift when he came on. And I think, as we said before, I think it is that bench that really is what won it.
So, any specific highlights then? Maybe one from one of those guys off the bench that you think was the key moment in the game or the highlight moment in the game as such?
I think the Murdoch Masilla try was pretty good. I think, as I said, the Jack Hughes one is my favourite, just for the sort of cheeky nature of it. Thank you. Yep, there we go. But I think, Mamo's contribution as well all round is probably what gave them a bit of a lift as well. And he just had that, they were saying on commentary, the enthusiasm.
Yeah.
He wanted to be there, he wanted to do stuff, and I think that was what really drove it for them.
Like you say, you could even see that in the post-match interview where he was still quite buzzy. Yeah. Okay. Is there anything else you want to talk about from this game, or
No.
Are you ready to move on?
Let's kill it.
Okay. Game 2 then. And it was Hull FC versus Leeds on Friday night, and this one was pretty much done at half time, really. It was 30 points to 10 to the Black and Whites at half time. They finished winning 34 points to 10 in front of a healthy 12,208. Ben Thaler was the man with the whistle in this one, and the stats say that Hull FC had far more ball, nearly 50 more carries actually, and they used it pretty well as well. Despite 3 more errors made, they had 5 more breaks, so that was 10-5 on that count, to score 6 tries to 2, and made 262 more metres than Leeds. So powerful stuff from Hull FC. Individually, Josh Griffin, 137 metres. Carlos Tumavave was one of the stars of the show, 136 metres and 5 successful offloads. Scotty Taylor back in the side from his suspension. Started the game on the bench, which he might not be used to, but he still put in a sterling 133 metres when he got on the pitch. Danny Houghton, 1 try assist, 45 tackles. Yeah, mate. Losing side, Leeds, still had some individual performers who can be proud of their efforts, if not necessarily their outcomes. Conrad Hurrell, 10 tackle bus, 160 metres, 3 clean breaks. You can see why he's become a fan's favourite at the Headingley Stadium already. Nathaniel Petteru continues his strong basically start to his Leeds career, because last year it never got started. 140 metres for him so in that one. And Trent Merrin is coming in for some criticism, maybe not having the desired impact on this team that was expected, but he's still working hard. 52 tackles, 10 of which were marker tackles, and Liam Sutcliffe, 41 tackles, which is maybe a bit foreign to him. Do you want to take us through the first of the fan views we had on this?
Yep, it comes from @M9UHL, who says, "My nan, who has a false hip, has more tackling prowess than Leeds. I do love a game with lots of tries, though. Shaw sounded like he had a stormer. Ash Hanley weak under the high ball. I couldn't go to the game. Shift work problems. Was gutted by the sound of that performance. I'm pleased I didn't. Wonder who was going to drag out. I wonder who we're going to drag out of retirement to do something with this dog's dinner of a team. Well, now
at Jim Man Bear. Sorry, go on.
I was wondering. Yeah, now. Jamie Peacock's back. Maybe it'll be his turn. Come back again for a second comeback. Get more comebacks in than Elvis.
Jim Man Bear Pig said, "Shit sandwich."
Okay, and the further one from at M9UHL, and I think Ferner's review sums it up. A car crash, laughing emoji.
Tom Andrews said, bloody hell, that's the third week those bloody shirts are going to go unwashed. Covering up face monkey emoji. My pre-season bet of Lord Radders the Dadders to be the first one out is looking misplaced now. Leeds and Wigan's coaches are having a foot race to Manchester Airport to get back to ours.
Yeah, but Lamb could be winging its way back for spring. Page says, yeah, great performance by the boys in black and white. Completely outplayed Leeds in a fantastic 20-minute spell in the first half. Excellent defence in the second half. I think Hurrell is still in Carlos Tuivave's back pocket. Bring on Wakey next week. P.S. Mark, you can't be Team Tom. His head is already big enough. Well, we'll let you be the judge of that one.
Well, she knows better than me, so I'll
She's seen it, yeah, close up. Yeah.
Cutthroat Jake said, I missed last week's Wakefield game because I had to watch Slovenian avant-garde industrial rock band growl their way through The Sound of Music whilst I was seated on a hard and very uncomfortable chair for 4 hours.
Sorry, is this a review from Dave Cantrell? Because it really could be.
I'll do that again because we need to get the flow right for the punchline, I think. Cutthroat Jake said, I missed last week's Wakefield game because I had to watch a Slovenian avant-garde industrial rock band growl their way through The Sound of Music whilst I was seated on a hard and very uncomfortable chair for 4 hours. How I wish I had that distraction this week as well. That's up there. That's a high-ranking review this week, John. Good work.
Yeah, AK Steel 69. This was a dogfight of a match, a pit bull versus toy poodle type of dogfight. After suffering a couple of snaps to the ankle, the pit bull just stamped a foot on the poodle, grabbed it by the throat, and in the words of Outcast, shook it like a Polaroid picture. Sneed was everything Lola Hare wasn't controlling, organised and scheming. Manu and Massey ruined Merrin's holiday, and Hurrell was in Tuivave's pocket all night.
Second one to say that, isn't it? Always in Our Shadow said, back to the 90s, back in the 90s, F2F used to sing to Leeds. Right, hold on, I need to read this again because I don't understand this. Back in the 90s, F2F used to sing to Leeds spent a fortune and win duck all. Fast forward to Friday night, and this seemed so true. Hurrell lived in Kid's pocket. Merrin anonymous. 17 glorious minutes by FC blew them away. Manu now fit, reverting back to beast mode. Yeah, Sika Manu getting a lot of plaudits from this game. He was one of the players who I'd picked out for criticism after the back end of last season and the start to this season, but he is in form.
There we go. Joshua's granddad said Leeds are always a banana skin, and a quick 10 points looked like history repeating itself until FC switch on and champagne rugby flowed until half-time left it game over. Second half showed a defensive resilience that has been missing. The feared Hurrell was totally negated by Tuivave. Sims Manu looking like his 2016 self. Awesome. Sneed out-of-hand kicking was off, but totally controlled on-field play.
Rich Wilkinson said Leeds were okay for 15 minutes, then fell apart for 25 minutes against a bang-average team. We tightened up a game, but had nowhere near enough to look like a chance. There was a ton of hope going into this season, however, it looks very misplaced right now.
Phil Nadin says, what a game this was. Started very slow when Leeds went over twice in as many minutes. I did think we'd gone back to the old ways, but then Hull woke up and started playing and just ran through the Leeds defence. Great win and great to see the legendary charity man and Disney fanatic Dom again for a post-game drink and hug. There's a lot of physical contact this week, and that's not just in the Rob Elston sex tape.
Romance in the SLP family is burgeoning. I would suggest Sarah, our friend who's hosting the show next week, said a couple of questionable decisions led to Leeds being 10-0 up, and then FC struck back in style. I'm guessing questionable defensive decisions, Sarah. That's what you mean, I'm sure. Then FC struck back in style. A great passage of play to finish.
Well, maybe that's referring to Phil Nadin and Dom. Maybe that's a questionable decision.
A great passage of play to finish the first half, followed by an outstanding second half defensive performance. Yeah, it is that golden period, really, from the sort of 18th minute to the end of the game, but the 5 tries in 17 minutes were scored by Hull FC in this one, and some of them may be preventable from Leeds' point of view, but in reality it was Sneyd and Kelly taking over the game. Before we get to that, I want to give a quick little note for Leeds' young outside back, Harry Newman. He had a couple of nice attacking touches to start the game. He scored a try and set up a try, playing in the right centre place in place of Callum Watkins. I think his defence needs a bit of work. I think some of the other clips from the game would demonstrate that, where if he gets put onto a second rower defensively, he might struggle at this stage, but promise there definitely from young Harry Newman. Hull will be happy to see Scott Taylor back, and he's straight into the stats roundup too, so well done to him. But watching the highlights and reviewing the stats and that sort of stuff, and looking at what I've seen from this game, it does look like Kelly and Sneyd both played really well, and Hull, those two as well, but the whole team really are playing with a lot of freedom at the moment. It's got to be noted how much more expressive this Hull side seems to be playing right now, and it kind of started with that Wigan game, really. There was flashes against Castleford, but as soon as they were under pressure, they made mistakes in that game and went back into the shell. But in the last 3 games, they've really started to throw the ball around a lot. A ton of offloads again in this game, most of them in good ball, where they're poking the head through gaps because they're willing to throw the ball around and make some chances. So I just think probably maybe they've turned around and thought, well, it can't get any fucking worse than where we are right now. So if we drop some ball, we might as well drop some ball trying to play some entertaining rugby rather than drop it playing shit rugby. And it seems like that's what they've decided. And every credit to them, because one thing this whole side has not necessarily been under Radford, certainly consistently, is entertaining to watch. But right now,
definitely, yeah.
Right now, I think they are, and obviously, it maybe slowed down a little bit in the second half, but absolutely flying second half to the first half. That you've got to say, it's brilliant stuff. And when they've got that roll on and they're playing with some confidence now, it's fun to watch, and they're scoring some nice tries. I mean, Mark Sneyd's try was a very, very good team move that he finished off, but there was a lot going on in that, with people all supporting each other, man with the ball, making breaks and then having options. It's good to see from their point of view. And that Ratu Nilango, Ratu, he's finding himself on the end of some really pretty looking Harbour Bridge passes, isn't he? This week's was from Albert Kelly. A couple of weeks ago there was one from Jake Connor. He's really holding his width. No matter where his centre goes, he's holding his width, which I guess is making it tough for teams to defend if people are going to throw at risky but pretty looking passes. So
especially because he's not a small bloke, so when that's coming at you, you can't rely on just being able to push him into touch easily.
I suppose he's quite wiry. He looks like once he gets really physically into rugby league, he's going to be tough to put down. But at the moment, he's just finding nice space by holding his width. So that's impressive for me. So Hull FC are entertaining at the moment, and I can't remember the last time I thought that. So well done to them. I'm enjoying watching the highlights that they're putting up, and they've got some strong performers. And that back row, Westerman's totally found his form. I'd say edging it for best loose forward in the competition at the moment for me, based on the last 3 to 4. I think he was even good against Cass when Hull overall weren't great. So he was very good in that game actually, and they're brilliant against Wigan. Sika Manu and Mark Minicello seem to be making tackle busts, making offloads, doing what they did a few years ago. That made them maybe stay around Hull for what we thought might have been a year too long, but it turns out they've found a bit of form. So good stuff for Hull FC. For Leeds, other places we'll talk a lot more about what's going wrong for Leeds. I didn't see enough of this game to say too much about it, but leadership is potentially a question. Brett Ferris was the captain in this game. I've never really felt like Brett Ferris is a captain. So
I think he's quite an individual player. I think he's someone who focuses on his own game, and that doesn't really. I mean, just looking at
himself.
Just looking at
really
that starting front row. those two starting props, Petru and Alechki, that doesn't give you a lot.